Hey Tyers, Darren here. Welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. Today we're going to be tying a pattern called the Golden Demon. This is a pretty classic steelhead pattern that was introduced by the famed author and angler Zane Grey. He first discovered this pattern in New Zealand and brought that back to the States and fished it in a couple rivers in the Pacific Northwest, the Rouge and the Umpqua. They turned out to be quite effective, and this soon spawned a couple variations: the silver, the copper, and the black. And those four patterns together, they make up the classic Demon series. The Golden Demon was originally tied with a brown bucktail wing, but was later it was the red squirrel that kind of became the standard due to a number of reasons. So one other thing you can do with this fly is add a floss underbody just to give the body a little bit more thickness. And if you want a little bit more durability, you can actually put a coating of lacquer or head cement over the top of the body before you tie on the collar and the wing. Let's have a look at the materials and get started. Alright, let's get a fresh hook on the vise. Today I'm using a number 2 salmon and steelhead hook. This is the Superfly model. And this is their heavy wire model. And we're going to start by putting a little bit of black 6/0 thread down along the hook shank, just starting in behind the eye. And I just want to take this basically to the hook point. So next we're going to take a crest from a golden pheasant. See, I got some pretty long ones in here. I'm going to save those for some bigger flies, so I'm going to take something from around the middle here. And I just like to prepare these a little bit. I'm just going to take off some of these loose fibers. I'm just going to pull those off and trim back that stem. I'm just going to wet that with my fingers and a little bit of saliva just so that it stays tame. I'm going to kind of measure that on the hook shank where I want it. Pinch it. I'm going to put a couple loops. Just make some adjustments. It's a little bit crooked, so I'm just going to try that again. Reseat it. And that's probably the trickiest part of this pattern. Just kind of getting that set right. So when you got it, you're just going to advance your thread forward. Trim that off. Now I'm going to take a piece of uni tinsel. This is the flat tinsel at gold silver. This one's a number 10. I'm going to tie that gold side down just along the length, just to help keep things on the underbody even. And we're just going to tie that to where the tail's tied in. And take that back up and add a half hitch. I'm just going to use my bobbin rest. And we're going to wind this. So what I want to do is I want to take it from the silver side, and just basically fold it over, give it a little bit of tension around. You just want to roll that. Make sure you avoid the hook point there. If you don't have the rotary vise, you'll just have to do wraps over under. Should be fine. And just put your finger on the tie off point there, just so it doesn't unravel on you. We'll move that out of the way. So just make sure we catch that tinsel before we let off the tension. Wrap back on it a little bit. And we'll trim that. So if you want to make this fly a little bit more complicated, you can go ahead and you can put a tag on there, like a oval tinsel. It's pretty nice. And then you can also add like a gold rib on there, just to make it a little nicer, I suppose, but it's more of a utility version of the fly. So next we're going to take an orange hackle. This one I pulled off of a Whiting American cape. So to prepare that, we're just going to kind of go back from the tip a little bit and just stroke those fibers back a little bit gently. You don't want to pull them off. Then we're going to tie it in at the point where it's separated. Fold that tip back. And then you can pull that off. And we're just going to take our scissors, run them up the inside. And give that a couple wraps, maybe 4 or 5 wraps forward. Alright, one more is good. So we'll just fold that stem back just to make sure it's locked in place. Wrap over top of it. Trim that off. I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to separate the fibers of that collar. I'm just going to pull them down a little bit. They don't have to be all the way down, but I like to kind of get them just so they're a little bit flat off of the top. The wing will sit in there nicely. So for the wing of this fly, we're using squirrel tail. This is a red squirrel. It's got nice black barred tips and then a nice reddish ginger body of the hair in there. So we're just going to take a small clump. This hair is nice to work with, and it's actually swims very nicely in the water. Surprisingly, even better than you would think. So we're just going to kind of measure that out to the end of the tail. I'll transfer it over, clip off the tag ends. And we're just going to give that a couple. Let's unwrap that. Try that again. This is a tricky part as well. You don't want these hairs slipping out of the wing, so your whole fly will fall apart. So you can see how that thread is sloping down on the wing. If that lets go, your whole wing will come apart. So what I like to do is just kind of put the thread on somewhat loose, and then when I get up here I can start giving it tighter wraps. Once I've got a base layer of thread on there, then you can give it a pretty good tug just before the breaking strength. And I always test my flies just by pulling on the hair. If it comes out, like 1 or 2 hairs come out, you're probably going to lose the whole wing. So this is a good test. So we can finish it up here, where we can go ahead and add some jungle cock on here. I'm just going to add 2 jungle cock nails, 1 on either side. So I just selected some that'll be a decent size. And what I do is I just put them back to back, and then I'll kind of measure them up, and then I'll pull the bottom of the fibers of the feathers off. Then I'll tie them in each side. So you want to try and minimize your thread wraps a bit as well. If you can, you don't want too many. That looks decent. Alright, so fold those tags back. I'll add a couple more wraps in here. And we'll just come in and take out those jungle cock nail tips, butt ends. There we go. Couple wraps of thread just to clean a few things up. Then we'll whip finish this, and then we're good to go. I'm gonna add 1 more just for durability's sake. There you go. Golden Demon. Hey fly tyers, thanks for stopping by and watching my fly tying videos. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell icon to get notified on the latest fly patterns, tips, and reviews. If you've enjoyed the video, hit that like button and post a comment below. If you'd like to support the content on the channel and get rewarded, you can visit my Patreon page. Until next time, this is Darren saying, keep a hook in your vise. Cheers.